Disney Made Me Do It, a spinoff of The Dark Side of Songwriting, where we talk about Disney movies and their relation to the music industry. My name is Nayim. I am your host, and today, Halle Bailey absolutely saved the Disney Corporation. And I'm going to explain to you how and why she did that, and how and why she is the only person in music today that could have done that. We're in a very interesting situation when we talk about Disney. When you think about them, you think about them princesses, you think about that mouse, you think about that mouse and his magic kingdom and all these theme parks and all that stuff. And people, the negative don't never really outweigh the positive. When the general consensus talks about Disney, Disney has this practice of, if you can't beat them, buy them. And when I say if you can't beat them, buy them, Disney owns Marvel, Pixar, which they bought for $7.4 billion. I think Steve Jobs had something to do with the negotiations for that. Lucasfilms, 20th Century Fox, Vice, the History Channel, ESPN, National Geographic, Hulu, ABC, Star Wars, A&E, and the list goes on. They are one of the big six media corporations that control all of whatever is being broadcast into media today. And those six are obviously Disney, Comcast, Time Warner, Viacom, Sony, and News Corporation, which is 21st Century Fox. What is the significance of Halle Bailey being in these movies, and why it could have only been her? Disney movies don't just translate into sales. We know that Disney has this history of their stock going up and down, and sometimes they do good and sometimes they fall flat. And again, anybody that they can't beat and keep up with, they buy. So, because they're the only people who have enough money to just buy their competition flat out. We're not partnering, we're not doing none of that. I'm going to take and I'm going to own you. That's how they do. If you recall, I wasn't old enough to remember, but from my personal research, when Disney was in a funk, I think it was the second time they was in a funk. This was after Walt Disney died. The Little Mermaid was the movie that really took Disney to the moon the first time. The Little Mermaid, the original one, came out in the 90s. If you're familiar with if you're familiar with what's going on in the terrain, you will be familiar with BlackRock, and how BlackRock is an investment corporation that really owns pretty much most of anything that's going on out here. They have a say in it because they're the people who are financing. BlackRock put out a statement that says that everybody that they invest in needs to contribute to society, or they're going to risk losing support. Disney has always been on this kick where they wanted to evolve in their films. We know that their films started out as, somebody who may have lost a parent, lost a mother, because that was Walt Disney's story. His mom died when he was young and all of that. So all these had a theme, and then it was about true love's kiss. And I remember when Frozen came out, and in Frozen they was talking about how, what you mean you gonna marry him and run off with him? You don't even know him. So I remember that's around the time that I can recall where the movie started to change, where they started to change their messaging, where it's not about just people falling in love and romantic relationships, especially with like Maleficent, and the whole true love's kiss thing was a mother or a stepmom loving her adopted child. They started to change their messaging up. But as of recently, being that they have all these acquisitions and they have all these other things going on, it sinks their company. It makes them look crazy. It makes them look bad. So when you got Ja Morant on ESPN acting a plum fool, they showing and waving guns and doing all of this stuff, that's taking money away. When you got people on Fox acting a fool, that's taking money away. When you got people taking black people off the posters in China because they tapped into that Chinese market, because there's billions of people over there, or almost 2 billion or whatever people over in that sector. They want to cater to them, and they don't say no when it's money to be grabbed on the table. So they cover Black Panther's face up. They take the black man off the Star Wars posters to cater to these people, even though it's black people in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, they run their propaganda over there. All of that, it makes you look bad, and it comes out, and then you try to come out and you're just basically being a yes man to whatever society wants because you want the money. The significance of any Disney movie is movies translate into merchandising, movies translate into theme park ticket sales, movies translate into people wanting to invest in whatever Disney has going on. The most perfect person you could have got from that. Remember, we talked about her sister and how people was confused about who was going which way, because let me tell you something, when you step out into the real world, nobody's complaining about the Little Mermaid in the real life. It's always one type of demographic that's complaining about people like Halle Bailey up there doing her thing, and you know what they look like, and you know what section of life they come from. So they had to take somebody who one could sing, because the movie is even though it's a cartoon, the movie is about the fish girl. Sound great. The movie is about the fish girl who can, like, her whole catch is the voice. The mermaid she's the most perfect mermaid. It's her voice. That's what makes her the most distinct out of all. She's the youngest one too, but it's her voice. So you had to have somebody in real life who could actually really sing, because who wants to, you can't, this isn't one of those things that you could lip sing, especially not no classic. And it had to be somebody who really had the voice, who really could play the part, but not only just play the part, you actually had to have the actual background, because see, Halle didn't go the sexy route, even though we know what she really be doing in her spare time or whatever. Her image is one that caters to people where there's no confusion there. So when you go over to be a part of whatever Disney got going on, whether you on Hulu or ABC or all these other things, they're going to always pick the safer people. And that's not saying that she can't be risky or risque or edgy or nothing like that. It's just that you have to match up on paper in real life. You can't just say that, oh, I'm just like this, and oh, I'm just kind of person, but it doesn't match up. Because see, we got to have somebody we can be able to actually have a meet and greet with. We got to have somebody we can actually be able to put out here, and parents wouldn't mind their children seeing. And if we looked you up, parents wouldn't mind, being bothered with you outside of this movie. So it wasn't going to be nobody but her, because we don't have any singers that really embody what she's doing. And I think that she's gonna be around here a very, very long time. And I know that. And people can try to do the whole selling CDs and all selling albums and all that. She don't have to be bothered with that. Like, women in music ain't really about selling music, it's about selling everything else. If she can stay in this bag, she'll be as respected as Brandy. I promise, mark my words. She's going to be as respected as Brandy, as long as she stay out of trouble and stay away from the BS and not get herself involved in bringing herself down to low petty levels. She's going to be the one. She's going to be just as legendary as Brandy one day, just because this is how it happened for Brandy. You got the voice, you move into acting, you start doing serious stuff, and you still maintain your image. Even if something bad does happen, it's just like, okay, whatever, like, we'll let it slide. She's just too good of a person. And that's the bag, and that's where you want to be at. She absolutely giving them a boost, because they're going to ride and feed off of her reputation. She can get something from them. Obviously, now you're in a classic live action movie or whatever, and anybody that was complaining, it's just racist. But this solidified for them that they can have image rehabilitation, because they fulfill their obligations to Black Rock. They move into woke or whatever, but they move themselves into a space where they're playing into that diversity and inclusion. But it's not just like, oh, we just threw anybody in there. This is somebody who's really talented. This is somebody who's really that girl. This is somebody who's really one of them people. So they're going to ride this as long as they can. And this movie's gonna be number one for a little while until they probably go to DVD, just because if you can sell something to kids and the parents are buy into that, oh man, you out of here. She saved them. And it's nobody else that say, like, I don't care what nobody say. She's the person that came through and did PR cleanup for them, because it's always something nonsensical going on with them and their businesses and what they do and the nonsense that they like to play around with. Because at the end of the day, they don't care about nothing but just getting paid. And they don't care how they gonna get paid. And they'll say and do whatever anybody say. They'll follow anybody who waved the dollar in their face. But she came and she reminded them, and I'm saying them, the corporation, she came and reminded them that, like, hey, like, we can still tap into whatever that goodness was that was left, or whatever was magical about what was going on over here. And that's all people are going to know. And that's all people are going to remember. So this was episode 1. We will be back with episode 2 probably tomorrow. If you didn't see the last video, go watch that. I was snapping. But this is Disney Made Me Do It. My name is Nayim. I will holler at you.